Okay, so this is Hot Set Podcast, and it is hot out. Episode 4, the Grip and Electric episode. And we are here with...
Matt Kyhn.
And...
David Klotz.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I appreciate it. You guys... This is the first time that there are 2 guests with me. So you are the first to experience, and we're all experiencing this for the first time, so we'll see how that goes.
That'll be good, half the talking for me.
Well,
we still have to talk the same amount, but...
Well, we're all in this conversation together, so, you know. But you guys predominantly do grip and electric. Do you guys like to focus on one more than the other? How does that work?
Me personally, I don't mind doing either or because from a rental house, you kind of learn everything anyways. You got to pull the grip and the electric equipment. So
because you worked at a rental house.
Yeah.
So, and where was that?
Dallas, Texas, MPS.
Okay. And actually, Matt, you worked at a rental
I did, yeah, for a short time in New Orleans. I was at Hollywood Rentals. They were moving their shop from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, and so I worked with them for a little bit.
Now, working in a rental house, do you think that helped you be better at your job?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like especially when you're starting in grip and electric, 90% is just knowing the name of what they're asking for. Mm-hmm. So definitely helped getting my hands on stuff and learning weird names of things. And
Sure. Now, so Matt, you lived in Arizona for a while. You moved to Louisiana for work, and then you moved back.
Yeah.
And then Dave, you are you originally from Texas?
No, I'm originally from Phoenix.
Oh, you are? Okay, then
I was born here. But
okay, and then you moved to Texas and then moved back. So you guys sort of have similar stories going on. Mm-hmm. And being that Texas and Louisiana are right next to each other, are they sort of similar as far as like production, the way they do production out there, the types of productions, the topography, the way they do things out there?
I mean, for me, like, there was a million things that were universal, and then a million things that were totally different.
Like what, for instance, that you can think of that's for totally different that someone in Arizona wouldn't really know about?
Well, the climate there is different. It's hot, but it's humid,
muggy,
and
hot,
buggy.
Yeah. Do you have to worry about like electricity with that? I mean,
yeah. So I only worked on the grip side out there, so I wasn't running cable, but everybody carries swamp boxes and stuff to keep all their distro above ground.
And explain what a swamp box is.
It's a piece of plywood with 2x4s, and there's people that make other ones like that are plastic and stuff like that, and you just stack them up so you can get your distro higher. So when the flood comes or the water comes, it's not getting drained on.
Not if, when.
Yeah, when. And it rains. I mean, it felt like it rained 15 minutes every day for a little bit. So the first thing that comes off the truck is pop-up tents. Mm-hmm. I remember my first job there. I didn't have a rain jacket, and I'm just getting dumped on, and someone's like, "Where's your rain gear?" I'm like, "I came from the desert.
Yeah.
It doesn't rain that much very often." So stopped at the sporting goods store on the way home and bought my first rain jacket after that.
I find that in Arizona, whenever it rains, we kind of stop.
Yeah.
But it seems like maybe out there, you just adjust to it and just keep working?
Totally.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Did you ever experience any kind of wildlife on set because maybe you were around marshes and swamps or anything?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We had a wildlife wrangler on a lot of the sets to go through and look for alligators or snakes. And
wow.
It kind of depended on the location. And I mean, I wasn't there. I was there for almost a year and a half, so I got enough to get a really good taste of it. But I mean, I'm no expert on shooting in New Orleans.
Sure.
There's some interesting things, like the city streets are really narrow. I mean, it's an incredibly old town, and so on the shoots, we'd have a lot of 3-ton trucks, but then we'd have base camp with the 53-footers, and you cross-load stuff to be able to get through the streets and stuff like that. Just things we don't deal with in the same capacity here in Phoenix.
Were you more so on feature film sets?
Yeah. So I did a handful of commercials. Not even a handful. I did 2 commercials while I was there, but most of the work was episodic or movies. Mm-hmm. And it was because of the tax incentives that Louisiana offered. I think they still offer them, but it was bigger budget, bigger crews. Mm-hmm. studio films, union work, stuff like that.
Sure. What's the climate like? What was it like in Texas when you were working there?
Depends. Humid and hot too, especially east, and then Houston, like south. Like Dallas was still humid too, but not as bad.
Is it unionized in Texas?
It is, but it's a right to work state.
It
so,
is.
yeah. It's
Okay.
just like here. But, I mean, their union is a little bit more, they've got their stuff together there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot better. Texas is more, they have a little bit of everything because you've got Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Robert Rodriguez, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so basically in Austin, they have pretty much, it's the Mecca. You go, they have indie movies, big commercials, music videos. It's a big music town. Dallas does a lot of commercial type stuff.
They have a bunch of corporate headquarters there, don't they?
Yeah. So there's a lot of commercial in Texas, especially around Dallas. Louisiana is known for all the film, movie stuff, episodics. Because for a while there, like everything you see on TV was all shot in the South in Louisiana, like Skeleton Key, all that stuff. I think Skeleton Key was shot there. It had to be. But yeah, for a while there, just everything was Louisiana
Right.
because of the incentives.
And it seems like to me that it's kind of moved to Georgia now.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
So is that just because of a better incentive tax cut for the productions, or crews like to work more on the East Coast and in Georgia, or I guess a good question is how much does it depend on how the work environment is versus the money savings? Is it always about the money savings, or does having like a good place to shoot and it makes everyone's life easier play a factor?
Right, yeah.
I mean,
I think from what I've heard, obviously I'm not greenlighting films and stuff like that, but from what I've heard, it comes solely down to whatever kickback they can get.
Yeah.
And then they'll make it look like whatever. I question if that actually saves them money in the end. I mean, when you're, I don't know, trying to make Georgia look like LA, like, do you have to spend a lot more in production design at that point?
would it just be cheaper to go to LA and just shoot, right?
I mean, I don't know enough about like the big picture of budgets.
I think of permits.
Yeah.
Blocking a street and closing, something down as opposed to something in the South where it's laid back and, people are just like, yeah, go for it, kind of thing. So small town, maybe smaller town mentality, not exactly small town.
I had a bunch of friends actually that I started off with in Texas, chased the work to Louisiana. Actually, they went to New Mexico, then they went to back to Texas, then to Louisiana, then to Georgia.
Wow.
I know a lot of people have done that.
Are they happy that they've done that? It seems like a lot of work.
It is. That's why I don't know. I don't think I was willing to chase it like that.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like a sense of home, I guess.
Sure.
Whereas other people,
It's like the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah. I know for my career, I know it's hard to separate the work that I've done and like the journey of my life and just trying to make a living. And, I moved to New Orleans because Arizona lost their tax incentive and I was doing soul eating reality TV here. And I had known people that moved to New Orleans and seemed to be doing pretty okay. And so, it just seemed like the next right thing to do. To try and provide and keep working. And then when I was there, it was the same with coming back. From what I understood when I was there, they were cutting back how much they were giving out for their tax incentive. And so I had been working to get my days to get into the local there and get my residency. And they made it really difficult to get into the local because they saw that the work was cutting back. And so that's when we ended up coming back to Phoenix. And
Did you come back knowing that there was maybe some jobs waiting for you?
Yeah. I called everybody that I knew here and said, well, hey, what's it been looking like in Phoenix? And, it was nice to hear that people were working and it had been busy. And it's different types of shoots here. Not to say that the process is drastically different, but we don't do a ton of like really big budget movies. I mean, every couple of years, maybe for a couple days.
Right.
But it was nice to know that people were working, and that, you know, I could make some phone calls and reach out to the relationships that I had before I moved.
I like, Dave, what you said, how you put an emphasis on the importance of having a place to call home, which I consider Phoenix like my home. Not that I won't travel for work, and I think you guys are in the same boat. If you get a job and it makes sense, you know, you're away for 30 days or a week or whatever, yeah, let's do it. But I mean, it's always nice to come to a place you can call home, and I think that us freelancers, I guess I'll speak for myself, oftentimes have a hard time separating work from your life, like you said.
Yeah.
And so that makes me think of whenever the work dries up, whether that be a crisis or or the summertime and it's too hot, no one wants to work. I think it's really important to have side gigs or to have a plan B. I know you, Dave, have fab work that you do, welding and whatnot. What kind of stuff do you work on? And that's also connected to your rental house days, fabbing grip trucks, right?
Yeah. So I had a former boss, Jeff McHorter. He was an amazing fabricator on top of just an incredible boss. He's my favorite boss I've ever had, one of them. But he would tell me what to do, how to work stuff, and then, you know, that's where I learned. So I started custom fab, actually making grip trucks, rack stands, you name it. I was just making whatever I could think of or whatever they wanted. So, and then I just kind of just kept that skill and just incorporated into just whatever. I've been making furniture, off-road stuff, anything. So, but I've noticed here specifically in Arizona, you do have to have a second type of, especially if you didn't kind of grow up here. I didn't grow up here. I was born here, but I didn't grow up here. So it took a while for people to get to know me, who I was, to get the calls, you know, and everything like that. So there's some growing pains, you know. I came here without really even a plan, you know.
What made you come back?
I just wanted to be around family.
Yep.
I just miss family.
Yeah.
So in Texas, I didn't really have too much. I had my aunt and cousins, and that was it.
Sure.
So, but it was, I don't know. Like here, I've definitely been relying heavy on just my side hustles and everything like that I do, because I like to stay busy anyways. If I'm not doing something, I go nuts. So yeah. I have to keep moving.
Well, it's that production person mentality. Yeah. We have to be busy all the time.
I mean, I think that's a good like example of the freelance life. Like, you know, before I decided to pursue this, I didn't necessarily realize that it's not like a normal job. Like, you are your own business, and it's always a hustle and trying to see which direction and think ahead and what's the long-term and the short-term goals. And you don't just get a job and then you're going to do that for the next 35 years and then retire. Like,
you definitely have to sell yourself in this business.
Yeah.
Put your best foot forward.
But it's almost like a drug, because I remember getting in as a PA, or intern PA, and having the mentality of, that was fun, you know? And not that I'm not still having fun, but you get like that taste.
Yeah.
And like you get that rush. And then the day's over, and then you're reflecting on the day and the accomplishments, and then it's like you want it again, you know, and it's addicting, and it's just ridiculous.
A couple times a year you get that job where you're like, oh yeah, this is why I do this.
Yeah,
and
totally.
then the next week you're on a job and you're like, why am I doing this? This is a terrible business.
Totally. Now, okay, so that brings us to a good talking point. What would you consider, and you can speak generically if you don't want to say anything specific, but like, what is your definition of a good grip job? Like, what is it that, you know, you show up and the things you see and the things you do, and and maybe it's something that like trickled down from production that they thought about to take care of the crew, so the crew takes care of them. What is that kind of definition to you guys?
Mine is just basically having a plan. If you have, like, if it's well thought out,
Yeah.
basically the setups. Pre-production, yeah. So if they go in there prepared, it's like, okay, we need dollies for this shot, and these are the lights we need, and this is the rig we're going to do. And we have that broken down, everyone. That helps out. Instead of just hopping on something where everybody's just winging it, you know. Because
Right.
I've been on those too. It's like you just show up, like, what are we doing? Yeah. Well, we're still waiting for production to pay the rental house so they can open the truck to get
Right.
started, which I've been doing that before. I've had to literally drive a grip truck up, and people are looking at me, tapping their foot, and I'm like, sorry, I can't open this until we get payment, or there's like insurance paperwork or whatever.
And you're just the messenger. It's
I'm
like,
just
don't
the
shoot
messenger. People are getting, so like I've had people, you know, especially coming from a rental house. So,
well, it's a business,
Right.
and you got to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Right.
And you know, it's unfortunately a bit of a sue happy world we live in, and rightly so, because there's laws and it keeps everything in check. But you got to sign the contract and have the insurance, and have the plan, and know that you need a dolly or not. And also, you know, it's interesting because I feel like production brings us in all kinds of different places all the time, but when you do it long enough, it's just the same thing all the time. And so you can, you know, think ahead of like, okay, we're doing this, so that means we should probably get this ready. And so when the powers that be, above the line, or the people who are telling us what to do, aren't thinking like that, either it's an experience, or I feel like it's not having a big picture mentality. It's not maybe caring. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess all that to be said, it's a pleasure when I see it done right.
Yeah.
Well, other than pre-production, like what other things on a job make a job good for G&E?
I mean, I think along those same lines, it's like if there's just an attitude of reasonable expectations, like
Right.
there's 2 people and a 10-ton, it's going to take more time to get all the gear off the truck. Like,
the crew has to be legit too.
Yeah.
You got to have, they say, the crew has to fit the job. So if
yeah,
we're working transformers or something, you don't want to have 2 grips and a juicer working a whole set. So like you just had to have enough hands is actually also helpful. So
Well, and also, have you ever seen a situation where they're like, we'll throw you a couple of PAs?
or,
yeah.
And honestly, I feel like that's a liability.
It could go so many ways. It could be helpful depending on who they are, but it's like, or you could be training somebody, which then takes longer the whole time.
Yeah.
And
What any horror stories or maybe funny stories, stuff that you've run into on a set that just you made a mental note about, like, okay.
not that I want to share.
Yeah, right. No, and I hear you. I hear you.
the thing I like actually to think about is if they give me a PA, right, and they're like, okay, just this guy's gonna do what you say or do whatever you want. I can show them how to wrap a stinger. I can show them how to put the C-stands back on a car, right, or set up a C-stand. And so that way, if I ever have to work with that PA again, if you show him right the first time, that's gonna stick, and then it's gonna make it that much easier to work with that person the next time. So I don't know. When I got into the business, some people were just, you know, they didn't have the time or whatever. They would get frustrated. So some people would get frustrated at me when I was green. Mm-hmm. And then I remember how it made me feel. So for me personally, I try and make it a point to when somebody's green that I teach them right. I still like to joke around or whatever with them if I can or if I feel like it or whatever. But for the most part, to teach them to do it the right way. So that way they know how we do things. You know, you don't want somebody wrapping stingers in circus hoops. So you just want them, teach them, just the basic stuff. It just goes so far, you know.
Whenever I used to work with Terry Hall from Rocket Rentals. I remember early on I was wrapping a stinger and it was a little bit bigger, and his joke was, "Oh, you must be from Texas," because it looked like a lasso.
Yeah.
So that was the joke, because
Okay.
I think his system was, or the system we were working with, they had to fit in milk crates. So it's like, no, the system, because if they're lassos,
You can't get 'em in milk crates.
they're not going to fit in the cart, and it's going to be a big mess. You got to redo it all. But also, like, I think that something that people forget, or maybe even like it's being forgotten in a lot of areas, is the fact that grip and electric should be craftsmen, and there should be a sense of pride in doing a good job. Like, obviously we work a job for the paycheck to pay our bills. We all have bills to pay, but at the end of the day, like, it just feels good to have done something right, to do a good rig and have it be safe and have it be done well and balanced well. At the end of the day, when there's a bad rig, it's just like such a headache. I think of, Matt, you were on the job with the menace arm,
Oh, God,
the sky
yeah.
panel. That was the worst menace arm rig ever, because we had to menace arm an S60 sky panel over the netting of a batting cage, and it had to have a chimera on it, and there were 2 mambo combos, and was it a double 20 by pipe?
Yeah, over-unders.
Yeah, and we bent it, for some reason one of the mambo legs bent, and then we couldn't adjust it because, like, literally my fingers were through the netting of the baseball net and I could barely reach it to adjust it, and it was so frustrating. It was just like I was so close yet so far. And
it was one of those things where if we had the time and the money in a locations department that could get the net taken down for 20 minutes, we could have hung it off of an I-beam. But of course, we had to do it this way because...
Well, we had a scout the day or two before, and that was definitely a concern that I was bringing up to them. But there was, then it's a logistics thing, because we're dealing with a baseball club that maybe does or doesn't want us to be there, a player that does or doesn't want to be a part of it, and a timing thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like we show up a lot of times, and it's like, oh, these yahoos that are just going to, like, cause us trouble.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love the problem solving of it. Like, that's what drew me to doing lighting, is like, there's always a solution that we can come up with. It's just time or money or people, or like, how are we going to get through this problem? This will be cool.
Well, I know that when I first got into it, obviously I knew about lighting, but I didn't really understand grip. And I think that's the question I get asked the most. Like, what's a grip? Or they ask us, like, what's a best boy grip? People love that.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that yesterday with somebody.
What would you, if a layman comes and is like, what is a best boy grip? What would you describe a best boy grip as?
I'd just say that key grip's right-hand man, something like that. Just if you wanted to make it simple, just somebody.
What's a grip?
Basically the muscle, just everybody's craftsman. They're craftsmen. Grips shape the light. They shape the light. They cast shadows. They basically work hand in hand with the electricians. So
Underneath the cinematographer,
right,
we do camera movement.
Right. Yeah.
And it's interesting because to achieve, like you were saying, Matt, to achieve the lighting effect by problem solving, I feel like a lot of times it's the grips that build the way to do that, because not poo-pooing electricians, because I am never the guy that goes grip against versus electricians, which I've seen on set, which is we are all working together,
right,
for the common good, if you will. But like it's like the electricians are mounting the light head on the stand and plugging it into a power source and, adding color or not. But then at a certain point, they're done and they're kind of making sure everything's safe and good, which is all important. But then it's the grips that build a lot of these things to shape it and mold this light. And I remember when I first saw that on a bigger set, it blew my mind to see these grip trucks expand the way they do. And that actually, I think, has to also do with the fabrication of, like, making it workable. you know.
Yeah. Right.
In fact, you know, everything being on wheels is important. I think, Dave, you just built something that is on wheels that isn't necessarily grip related, but what was it you were just telling me about?
It was it's a litter box concealer, I guess, a feeding station. So yeah, I was bored with the whole pandemic thing. You just sit there and make stuff. So that's the whole time this has been going on. I've been just either making stuff for people or just myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to make things easy for myself. I don't want to have to scoot it out of the way and scratch the floor or just. I got my slippers on. I don't want to deal with like restraint. I want resistance. I just want things easy.
And so you put casters
So I put casters on.
I love that you put casters on it, man.
Like a true grip.
Yeah, like a true grip, man.
Work smarter, not harder. I always say you only have so many bendovers until you just they won't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the old guys would always like save your knees whenever I was jumping off the lift gate.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel it after a while. You know, those were good days jumping off the lift gate. You know, I guess I still do it sometimes.
I was like, and me, like I remember a electrician in Dallas. Like I remember putting a combo, like stretching it out like that and hanging it on the door. And he's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're gonna hyperextend your elbow or something just doing that." He's like, "You should just get under it, you know, don't." And I'm like, yeah, whatever, you're a wuss. And now, like today, like years down the road, you're like, yeah, he might have been onto something.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm starting to feel some creaks here and there. Because I mean, Grip Electric is like they're the muscle of the crew. They're the we call us the knuckle draggers.
Yeah.
I mean,
We get
we're
beat up.
We get beat up. I mean, it's not just a lot of people think this is just glamorous business, lights, camera, action.
Sure.
I feel
And
like
it is.
I feel like when I was just starting, I would see people on set and it'd be like working really hard, running, and like I'm like, oh man, they're working so hard. And then after a while, I realized like, oh, like the people that thought ahead and don't have to run to get the thing are the people that are winning in this. Like
Totally.
they planned ahead. It's all.
In my very first union gig deal, actually, it was the set of Good Guys. It was my first like episodic. It had Tom Hanks' son in there and Bradley Whitford. And one of the guys, I ran to go get a ladder. I didn't realize he was going to get a ladder at the same time, but I ran to get it and I grabbed it and I brought it to set. And when I came back, that guy chewed my ass, big time. He's like, "Don't you ever run on set."
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't know that. So they're like, you could walk fastly, but I was going for that ladder. So I think part of it, I don't know.
It was a competition.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I didn't even, it was a competition I wasn't involved in that I didn't know I was involved in, but still, I mean, it stuck with me. So now I don't run on set all because of that one incident. So now I walk really fast.
I've
if I
heard
need to,
from people, I think the best explanation of why to not run on set that I've heard is that it creates panic.
Yeah.
If someone
Yeah,
sees you
true.
running, they're like, "Why are they running? What's wrong?"
Right,
They
yeah.
think something's wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, what you said also about the guy chewing you out also makes me think of not only do we have to be craftsmen and the muscle and kind of get beat up, no open-toed shoes and no running, but
thumb
also balancing different types of mentalities. Because, you know, you get the key grip or gaffers, the keys come in from out of town and you're the best boy, or you're a company grip or electric and you're at their beck and call, or you're the key and then you've got people you've never worked with and you just have to make it work. And sometimes you're gonna anger somebody and you're just trying to get the ladder. You know, and but then it's like I have to keep the peace because, or is this a battle that I should be fighting because the show must go on and, you know, I want to get a paycheck. You know,
And like a film crew is kind of like a family. Like there's different dynamics, and every single time it's like, okay, we got to figure out how to dance with all these different people. And if it's someone you've never worked with or someone you've worked with 100 times, like, you know, someone you've worked with a bunch, you'll know what the expectations are. New, it's like kind of this, okay, they want me to do this, but we usually do it this way.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
yeah,
The fun thing is actually working with the new people is you get to learn, like you see something somebody do something that you've never seen before, or that you've had access to. You just never thought about using it a certain way like that. And I don't know. That's why I like our business too. Is the pool of people is so deep. You can learn so much.
Yeah. Tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
And what kind of like if you were to only have like a couple of items, like you're getting put onto like an indie or a run and gun shoot, and you can only bring a couple items with you, what would that be as far as like grip side and electric side? Like what would be the go-to items that you're always gonna use?
Cars with wheels.
yeah, right.
Like lighting implements or like
Well,
tools?
yeah, let's start
or...
with, I mean, okay, so like light-wise, what is your favorite light to use?
I mean, for me, because at least the last 5 years, it's been smaller-ish shoots. I love it when we get to use the big lights.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of with camera sensors being what they are and crews being smaller, we're using LEDs and we're using things that can plug into house power, which is awesome, and you can make a great image. But when we get to pull out the 18Ks and
It's always fun.
maybe if I did that every day, I'd think otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you because I think that, to me, the best way to light a subject is to consider how the light wraps around the subject. And that usually does the best when you have a large source going through a larger diffusion and it wraps more naturally.
Yeah.
But also, when speaking about contrast and living out in Arizona where we have the sun to compete with, you need an 18K or a 24K or, whatever, just to get that balance. Because, honestly, it can get windy here, and doing like a fly swatter, it could get dangerous. That being said, do you guys like building fly swatters, or have you guys built any in a while here? Or?
Not in a while.
It's been a little while. Yeah,
I think the last fly swatter I was a part of was in Texas, so that's been years ago now.
Was it 20 by?
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember what it was exactly. It was a long time ago. It was at least a few years ago, like 3 years ago.
And for anybody listening, a fly swatter is essentially a frame of diffusion or sometimes camo net to break up the light or diffuse the light, and it's built on the end of a articulated arm lift, the basket. And it's just something that could go wrong real quick.
It can be amazing or deadly.
Yeah, amazingly deadly.
Yeah.
Which I actually see a lot of my buddies in Atlanta. It seems like they're building a fly swatter every other week.
Really?
There's just so much work there, and the crew. So you got the proper amount of crew. I mean, they can build them all day long.
Yeah.
So budget and all that stuff, time, because it takes time to build all that's big stuff. So
yeah.
I get excited when we get to do the big rigs. I mean, I think just the types of shows that come through usually doesn't have the budget for that stuff. But
or is it that they don't know? Because I feel like I feel very blessed that I've gotten to do PA to start with, to see the foundation of production, and then get into grip and electric. Because if and when, hopefully, I can, make projects either as a producer or a DP or a director or whoever. I could think back about the grip and electric and go, do we really need that? Or is it just show business?
Right, yeah.
Or is it just time of day? It's like, well, if we shoot this in the morning magic hour or afternoon magic hour, we don't need to build a fly swatter. But it seems like so often logistics and actor availability totally screws us, and it's like, yeah, we don't get them till noon, and we know that that's the worst lighting of the day, especially in the summer, and then you got to build a fly swatter or something, But Dave, so lighting wise, do you have any favorite light that you like to use?
Tell you the truth, actually, I'm after messing with having to pull all the HMIs in a rental house, 18Ks and all that stuff. I like the LEDs.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I like the way that they don't trip breakers. You can pump a ton of light and then just have the grips come and shape it
Off
without
the
having to
battery
worry
power.
about. Yeah. So literally, so you're not chasing down, trying to find the breakers and all this other stuff. I mean, you still know where the breakers are before you go in a set, but you can power so much. It's just so much more convenient. Because when I got in the business in 2005, everything, like, I think the light ones were Kino.
Yeah.
Pretty much stuff like that, and then because there was no sky panels or whatever when I first got in.
What was the
But
first LED you remember?
It was a
1x1.
probably 1x1 Astro,
Yeah,
maybe something like
that's
that.
right.
LED light, just an
Light
LED.
panels.
Yeah, light
They're
panels.
always so
Yeah.
green. You had to put like the CTO on it, or
those
the
car
plus or
kits.
minus green.
No, the magenta, yeah.
The knockoff car kits, the LED car kits, or like a mini flow or whatever they called them.
Well, I think before the 1x1s, light panels came out with that little brick.
Yeah, they were a little brick like that.
And it had the battery,
in the back of it.
Yeah. And it was like the new toy, and everybody tried to like mount it on the camera
God.
or like put it on some stand, maybe put two together.
Yeah.
And it was like cool, and it was like, oh, is this where it's going? Is it gonna get any better than this? You know?
Yeah.
Just the technology is just increased though.
Well, they're computers now.
Yeah.
Like Sky Panels literally takes a firmware upgrade. It's a computer. It's insane. You know, and all the different effects, cop light effects, and you know, TV. I mean, you know, like, you know, doing the TV gag with flags and things in front of tungsten units. Like, you know, obviously it's still totally doable. I love tungsten. I'm never gonna poo-poo tungsten.
Cool.
I think actually I just lost a job the other day. I don't know if I lost a job because of it, but the DP was on the phone and he said he was an older guy, which I was surprised about, and he was like. He kind of like poo-pooed tungsten a little bit.
Oh.
And he was like, oh, you know, because we got the LEDs now. And I was like, I still use tungsten. And I don't know. I don't know if that, you know, lost a job for me or something else. But
I love hearing the stories from people who've been in the business way longer than I have, though.
Yeah.
Like equipment that's come and gone, like carbon arcs and stuff like that.
oh, I know. I never got to use one of
Spider
those.
boxes. Yeah, I've seen one. I was picking something up at a shop, and there was one like there, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
the mythical carbon arc.
Well, yeah. I mean, because it has a lifespan, and then you'd have to change that out.
I heard it was something like 23 minutes.
Is that it?
Per rod? It was surprising when I heard, and so that's when they say lights, because you turn the carbon arcs on, camera. Then action, you turn
Yeah.
them off when you're done.
Man, it's just. I remember being blown away whenever I saw, and it was a 1x1 light panel that could be bicolor. And when it was like, oh, you want tungsten? Oh, you want daylight with a turn? It blew my mind.
Yeah.
You know, and now we take it for granted. And now it seems like everybody, it has to be that.
Right.
And if you want to go get some gel, that it takes too long. But that's still doable, you know? Actually, I went today. So usually I light our little set here with a combination of the Quasar's just been living up there lately. But I usually have a 1K and then a 2K tungsten. But because it's getting hotter, I went with a Cineo phosphorus and a Sky Panel S60. And so it seems to be, and a Celeb right behind me. So I've heard actually that phosphorus lights have a better color temperature correctness, if you will, to actual tungsten than LEDs do. But you know, it's constantly changing.
We had the True Colors, I think, before we even had the Sky Panels. Our rental house
Is that the
True
company who
Colors.
makes that? True Colors?
Cine. It looked
Oh,
like
it's
that.
Cineo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
True
That's
Color.
right. Yeah, that's right.
And it was the phosphor panels where you had the daylight and tungsten.
Yep.
Or you could even do super green.
Well, Sky Panel even came out with those panels
Right.
also, but that didn't really take off.
Yeah, whenever Sky Panel came out, theirs was literally, it's like, oh, you don't have to mess with the panels anymore. You can just turn it with a knob. So
what do you think is going to be the technology 10 years from now that we look at right now and like, oh, remember when we did that?
probably everything's going to go wireless, like the way of because it's already starting to go that way. I think
Like
people are gonna,
Asteras and
yeah, I think it'll go wireless a little bit more, like kind of like I don't know, kind of like those Hue light bulbs type technology where they can just control all the color temps and dim levels on an iPad. So you just set it up and then.
Well, so it begs to ask the question: is it all about being at a lighting board, whether that's a lighting board with knobs or your tablet or your phone, with the gaffer controlling the lights remotely right next to the DP, or is there some magic to finessing a light by hand, mechanically, so to speak, with a craftsman, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that when a light or a piece of equipment is somewhere, rigged, it takes somebody, seeing it in its place and in its environment to really get the gist of what needs to happen to achieve the look. I think of, honestly, a good parallel is I think of a garden, which I'm just experiencing this right now. I had a garden at my house, attempted garden at my house, for the last 10 plus years. Always dying, drip system leaking, not working, nozzles flying off. And just in March here, since I've had some time, I've started a garden here, and I've been self-watering it. And I'm able to individually pay attention to each potted plant and everything, and pick weeds, and almost mechanically, with me being the person actually taking care of each individual one, as opposed to just flipping a switch. And it's more of a personal experience with my plants, and I guess I'm paralleling it with a personal experience with a gripper electrician with a light or a rig, but I think that there's something more special about that.
Yeah, we're making art, and it takes a crew, and it doesn't come out of a box.
It is art.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to be a squeaky wheel, but in the same point, I kind of do want to be a squeaky wheel and remind people, because we all need reminders. It is artistic, what we do, even if it's pulling speed rail out of the truck,
right?
or
Carrying cable in the desert,
sandbags, whatever. It's safety, which is super important.
I love, because we do so much advertising here. I love it when we get to light things that are moody. I feel like so much of what we're selling is bright and shiny. Look at our product, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
And when we get to have a little grit to it, gets me excited.
Totally. No, I agree. What I have been seeing a trend though in people's seeing people's reels and projects that are a little too gritty. Have you guys noticed that? The contrast ratio.
It's almost too dark.
It's too dark.
A lot of scenes I've noticed a lot, but that's been a couple years now where
Yeah.
I've seen it's just too dark. I'm am I gonna have to adjust the level on my TV to see the scene? I don't understand that.
Well, I think it's I think it begs to ask what makes a good picture. A painting or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you squint at something, whatever pops out to me should be what is emphasized. So if I'm watching, I'm going to use an example, Game of Thrones, because that was when people were saying a year or so ago that it was too dark for that night scene or whatever in the last season.
See much.
If you were to squint and watch that episode, what would you see the most? And you wouldn't see much. You would see fire and people running around, but I don't know, maybe a Starbucks cup here and there.
I saw Hereditary in the theaters, and I kept thinking to myself when I was watching it, I was like, man, I just can't see what's going on in this scene. It's something scary because the music's scary, but I can't see what's. And then I caught it at the last minute, some things just popping out, like a hand popping out of the shadow. I'm just like, I couldn't see that anyways. So yeah. I hate it when they make it too dark.
Yeah, I think of Close Encounters of the Third Kind at the end when they're going to the mountain where there's the army base or whatever, and the ship comes in, and technology back then for special effects they were still figuring it out, and I just love how they used lens flares to mask that, and it was such an in-camera beauty and imperfection kind of solution to the problem, because like whenever special effects for a while were during the day, even like with the first Star Wars movie, Episode 1 Star Wars movie, not New Hope, you know, it was almost like I wished that it wasn't so clean and that there were some imperfections. So I think people like took that and then made it so dark that now we need to kind of come back and find a happy medium or something, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess that boils down to, I don't know, the powers that be above the line.
Well, you got to think there's waves, right? Like people follow trends.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
like in the 70s, it was the zoom lens.
Yeah.
Now it's colored tubes in your shot.
Oh my gosh, so many color tubes in a shot. Yeah. Yeah. So you're talking about the Asteras,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
man.
Where 10 years ago, the DSLR looked like the shallowest depth of field you could get.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess we still go wide open all the time, too.
Yeah, I know. Well, now I feel like we're definitely in the realm of drones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the drone shot.
It seems like every
Drones
other
everywhere.
shoot,
Yeah.
needs a drone. And that sucks for us because we got to clear all our gear,
Right,
all of
yeah.
our carts,
Right.
you know, which are in the shot or whatever. But okay, so we talked about favorite lights. What about grip gear? What is your desert island grip gear that you guys would want to bring to a shoot that you know you would use?
Oh, man. I mean, I feel like as we get into, like, smaller van packages and stuff for shoots, like, that whittles down what we have. So, I mean, that's, like, kind of down to the basics, like 4x floppies and Dana dollies.
Now, is Dana Dolly a piece of grip gear or a piece of camera gear?
It's on the line. Right? It's camera movement.
Yeah, yeah.
Comes on the grip truck usually, but,
Yeah.
but not always.
Okay.
Grip's generally setting it up for the camera, so
Yeah.
might as well.
Might
Use
as well
camera.
be.
It's amazing
Big
how that's
grip.
become a household name.
Yeah.
It's just took over.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, it's like the most simplest ideas are the best ideas. Just the things that make your life simple.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get the same move. Whoever thought of that? You can get the same move you can with a dolly just by putting it on tube speed rail.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I love those. It was those. I don't know. I just like LED lights and then Dana Dolly stuff. I like that. I like the smaller stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because like I said, you. Whenever I first started, we still had magnetic ballasts.
Yeah.
Those things are freaking heavy, man.
So
It's like boat anchor. So like, and then the indie movies pop up. They don't have the money to get like an airy ballast, so they just get. So we would just send them out with the old magnetic ballasts, and
Which can
those
take a
are just-
beating more
They
than
take-
electronic
Yeah,
ones.
they can.
You can drop it off the back of the truck and
Yeah.
so I hear.
Right. So it's yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a big fan of the lighter stuff. Just Dana Dolly type stuff. Things that make it light.
Yeah.
But big shoots are fun too. Big lights, 6Ks, stuff like that. Or
Rigging
bigger.
crews.
Rigging crews.
Oh yeah.
Which
So
I
nice.
can't wait for the first shoot that has one of those. I can breathe again. This is what it's like. Forgot.
I know. Well, I guess it maybe boils down to, like you said earlier, having a plan, having the right tools for the job, and having the right time to set up. And if that needs a pre-rig, then so be it. Or if we're on a run and gun because of whatever, then maybe we use a Dana Dolly instead of a Fisher. But also, I mean, we run into these clients, these commercial clients, especially towards like the end of the year when they like need to spend that budget so they get the budget the next year, and they're just going to get a Fisher whether they use it or not, or it sits on the truck or not, or the big light. And, you know, we have it just in case. And from a rental house perspective, I'm totally cool with that. But also from a technician, standpoint. What if we get cloud cover and we can't bounce the sun? We would be dead in the water.
Yeah.
So it would be smart for a producer to think about that, because the show's got to go on, or I guess, or just stop if you can't light it. You got to have lighting. You know.
I don't think I've ever been on a shoot that didn't get made. Like, something gets shot, whether it was good or not. That's arguable, but it's like the show will go on.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's easy to get in the weeds thinking about like, well, I got to figure out how to, like, it's gonna get made.
Yeah.
It's just, what route are we going to take? What problems are we going to solve to get there?
Well, yeah, again, it's problem solving. Yeah, exactly. And I worked with a really great DP years ago, and it was a docudrama. So we were shooting B-roll of things that were already, recorded in voiceover. And he had this great knack of finding the shot, of putting the subject in the light instead of maybe bringing the light to the subject.
Yeah.
And finding the angle instead of, we scouted this and it has to be this. Because it's interesting how I've noticed how people invent almost like the law of the shoot in their head, and it has to be that way, when the only person that's saying it has to be that way is them. And it actually doesn't have to be that way. And like you said, we got to get the job done, and it is problem solving. So
those are good rules for life too. Like,
well,
does it have to be this way?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
You always find another way.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like somebody who said when I first got in the business, like, there's a million ways to do one thing in this business. I was like, well, that makes sense, I guess. But at first I didn't know, but yeah, you could literally you can have a legit menace arm, or you can use a friggin' C-stand as the arm or whatever, just for certain things. I mean, I've seen so many, depending on the application, you can just do so many things, so many different ways.
Yeah.
So,
well, the C-stand could be used as a rack for wardrobe.
Yeah.
Hangers instead of a Z-rack.
Pretty sure that's on a Facebook post that I did a few years ago.
Yeah.
I set one down right next to the shop bag cart. I came back and wardrobe had all their clothes on my one C-stand that I had set aside specifically for my next setup. So I had to go get another one, but still.
Well, something I've noticed being in Grip Electric, it seems like, we are the problem solvers on set. So if we make everybody else happy, then we're happy. Mm-hmm. If we don't make them happy, then our day is a lot harder.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. Justin, you're pointing at me, saying something. Oh, okay. No.
Are you hearing my kids play over there?
Hey,
Sorry.
Well, no, it's totally cool. There are children laughing and playing here at Hot Set.
It's every day at Pirate Grip Electric.
It's family and happiness going on. It's totally cool. Okay, so we have this basket here. This is Paige's favorite thing right here. And she put a couple of kind of crazy questions in here. And they're going to be a little odd. But it's a bit of a test, if you will, okay? So who wants to pick the first? We'll all three do one, okay? So who wants to do the first one?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Are we all gonna pick and then read them, or you want?
We'll each do one.
Okay. Oh no, Crafty ran out of Welch's fruit snacks. What do you do?
Okay.
I know for me, I'm trying to avoid unhealthy things on craft service.
Yeah.
Which is so hard for me. So that's probably a good thing for me.
But I would say that makes a point that fruit snacks is sort of a staple of film production.
It's like Crafty is kind of like my kids' favorite snacks. That's what's on that table all the time.
Well, we have granola bars right here. Like, how many thousands of granola bars have we eaten in our lifetime on set? And you know what? Most of the time, I'm like, I don't even want a granola bar right now, but I'm still
it's there.
Yeah,
Eat it.
I'm gonna eat it.
You need the energy.
All right, Dave.
All right. Let's see what we got here. What superhero power would you have?
Oh wow, she threw a superhero power in there.
Yeah, she did.
She's really mixing it up.
I guess it's just gonna be average. I guess I'd just fly.
Yeah. So if you could fly, what how would that make your job on set as a grip and electric easier? let's
Well, then
bring
now
it
the
back
guy
towards
can,
production.
then the guy would be yelling at me for flying on set instead of running.
Yeah, because he's gonna yell at
Right,
you
he'd yell at me
regardless.
right. Oh man, that'd be so helpful though. I mean, I could just fly up to the Condor because I don't like staying up there anyways, and a swing basket.
We'd have more room on the truck because we could take all the ladders
Right,
off.
right.
We wouldn't need drop lines
Oh my god.
because you could just like fly up and down.
Yeah.
to the different
Possibilities
things.
are endless.
Flying. Yeah, but I mean, you'd probably get into it with some sort of group that's like pro drone, and like they would feel like you're like
I could just hold a regular camera,
you could.
be the drone.
There it is.
There you go.
Dude, the drone mafia would be after you.
That'd be
They'd
all
take
right.
you
I
out.
could fly.
Imagine them chasing you around set.
Right.
All right, let's see which one I get here. Oh, it's asking me hobbies outside of work. Oh, that's a loaded question. I run a rental house, man.
Thinking about work.
You're a gardener.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'll bring it back to gardening. I have really enjoyed gardening. Respecting where my food comes from, what it takes to grow like beans. I just harvested some mung beans and the
yeah.
pods were ready, and I got like 4 of them. And like when you buy a pack of mung beans at the store, it's a whole bag. And so when I look at that pack, I'm like, how many pods had to get harvested for that? And I'll bring this back to production in relation to the gardening thing. Is anybody who's listening is trying to get into production and they want to be, above the line or a producer or director or DP or whatever. Like, more power to you, but please, for your own sake, be an intern / PA at some point. If anything, it makes you humble. It makes you appreciate things more, and it gives you a big picture mentality, which will help you problem solve. So many things, working at the rental house that are so annoying. The toilet breaks, stuff that is not even related to production. The air conditioning goes out, which I know that you're going through that right now, Matt. I think that it helps. It helps, and I'm not saying I'm good at this. I'm working at this, but it helps me try to have a better perspective about things that I perceive as problems or bad. Because if anything, it's learning, and it's learning who to call or who not to call for AC service, or maybe thinking ahead and going like, if I'm using this as an example because it's timely. So before this, Matt's AC went out, and this was the thing. So
In the summer. In
the
Phoenix.
summer, yesterday was 110 for the first time. And so, so then I think, okay, so next time my AC goes out, which it's going to happen again at some point, what will I do? And that's a really, and if somebody wants to be a key member on a production, they need to have plan B and C in their back pocket, ready to go. Because the last thing the powers that be want is to come up to you and go, this didn't go right. What are we going to do now? And for us to be just like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know is never the answer.
Well, and it makes you a better leader, because when you're the person saying this is what needs to be done, you know what that person that's going to be doing the work has been through.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
I think actually the most benefit somebody new in the business can do, aside from PA, is also either intern or work at a rental house of some sort. Whether you're in camera, your goal is to be in camera, go work in the camera department. Learn your camera. Learn all the parts. If you want to be in G&E, go to the G&E department and learn the equipment. Learn what a Cardellini is, and not only just learn it, learn how to use it. So not only you can hand it to somebody that's might be more experienced than you can also pay attention to how they're doing it, how they're working it.
Learn how to tap it so it comes off of what you
Right,
just
hit it with your crescent.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's I mean, learn the equipment. If you can't break loose the knuckle on a C stand, just grab the whole arm and don't just keep hammering on the knuckle. There's little things
Knuckles
that
on the
you you gotta that you can learn at a rental house. So for me, what made me the best that I can be or put me where I'm at now is because of that rental house, because they gave me that shot, because I kept prepping all these orders and seeing what people are using in their packages, and I never thought of that. You could use that with that. Okay, this with this.
What did you find in orders that people put in where they didn't think of like a complete package? Like they'd order one thing, but not the thing that goes with it.
Right. So, especially being in a rental house like a HMI, you prep a 1200. A lot of people don't think to bring an extra head cable, or like there's been times where, like I hate to admit it, but sometimes I would send one out and I forgot to put the lens case with it. It's bad. So that's what I'm saying. Work at a rental house, so you not only work at a rental house, but work the shoot, so that way you can think on the fly and you can actually send your 1200 spare, send all your lenses, spend all your spare globe. I have my head cable and I'll send an extra one just in case that head cable blows out or burns up. Barn doors, scrims, anything and everything alcohol wipes for the bulb, you like all these little things that matter, because like
Devil's in the details.
Right, devil's in the details. You get your bulb, but you don't have an alcohol wipe. Now you're really risking putting that in, and then the oils on your fingers get on the bulb and blowing out a bulb. So like, there's just so many little details working at a rental house can teach you. So over the years, that's what I would recommend. So any kind of PA, I tell them to go to a rental house.
I find that that's the thing that's lacking the most whenever I see other people renting from a places is not getting an extra globe for the light. Talk about putting all your eggs in one basket. You're in the middle of your shoot and your bulb goes out. It happens, but it's just over.
You're at the Grand Canyon or somewhere way out remote we go to remote places out here.
Yeah. Now that's where LEDs are nice. You don't have to worry about an extra globe or any globe.
Right. Another reason why I like the LEDs.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Now, any rental house stories, Matt, for you that really helped you maybe get a bigger picture of like how to be a better grip and electric production person that maybe you learned, or just anything you learned at a rental house? I like that you both have that in common, and actually, we all three of us have that in common, which is actually, I think, cool.
I mean, it's such a relationship-oriented business. So for me, it was getting to know people and kind of seeing how they work, and along with getting my hands on equipment that I maybe hadn't used before, that they just happened to have dusty in the back of the shop somewhere.
So much dust.
Yeah.
In the shop. Oh my gosh.
And I mean, it was a really good experience for me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, you were saying, Dave, that if somebody wants to be, in a certain department, go and gravitate and work it. For myself, I didn't even know that I liked grip and electric as a PA until I saw what they did on set. So another way is just get on set. I would say to people, because half of it, if not more than half of it, is just showing up.
Right.
And then once you're there, it creates that momentum, and things start to happen, and people start problem solving and working with what they have or who they have.
When I was just starting, I worked as a set PA for a long time, thinking that I went into AD because in the movie world, that's kind of the path. And I was always so jealous watching Grip and Electric. It's like, they got to help make the image happen, which ADs do that too, for sure. But I don't know. It was always, working with the cinematographer to light this image, and that it's always such a draw to me.
AD is, I think, the hardest job on set. So what was it Grip and Electric that killed that, or was it like maybe you worked a couple of jobs in the AD department and you thought it wasn't
No,
for me?
I mean, along that in my life, like I was just trying to pay bills and like keep working in the business, and you know, an opportunity came to work as a set PA on a movie, and I just kept trying to run with it. But I would look at like you were on the movie, I'm like, oh, that looks so much more fun than wrangling 30 background right now.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah, wrangling background seems very painful.
Yeah. And then, you know, just making that transition from one to the other and getting an opportunity, like it was a process and took time, and it wasn't that I didn't want it. It was just I had to pay bills too. I had kids coming, and I don't know. I just knew pretty early on that the middle management of the assistant director's department was not my passion. And I kept doing it because it paid bills for a while, but
It takes a certain personality to be a good AD.
to be a good one, yeah.
And I just,
Yep.
I mean, you have to be authoritative and likable
Yep.
and quick on your feet. And it is, I respect, I love working for a great AD. I'm in awe every time.
Yeah.
And when we don't have a good AD on set, that kind of brings me back to the question I asked earlier. That is a red flag whenever I'm on set and there's not a good AD. That kind of tells me how the rest of the day / shoot is going to go.
I mean, he could make or break the whole day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
We had an AD actually in a shoot in Louisiana one time get arrested on set. And we had to bring
cow.
in David Levine. David Levine?
Yeah.
We had to bring him in just at the spur of the moment because he somehow had ties with the director producers and stole some money or something. And
man.
I totally forgot about that till right now.
Oh.
And we were lighting set at this abandoned hotel, and then it was the gossip on set, hey, did you hear so and so just got arrested? Oh, okay, well. And the show went on.
in the show,
Yeah,
the
that
movie
went
still
on.
got made.
Right. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. It's insane. Okay, so you guys came back to Arizona, even though you had great experiences in Texas and Louisiana at the rental houses. You learned a lot. You came here because it's home. So what can we do to make Arizona shine more in the production world, to show people, who have film tax incentives from LA and New York, that we're a place that is good to film their productions? And what is it that we have that would behoove their
The number
productions?
one thing would be the incentives. I mean, because right now there's no incentives really. We can't compete with New Mexico.
Sure.
But the sad thing is, I've been to New Mexico and I've been here, and Arizona is way more beautiful than New Mexico, in my opinion. And you have everything here. I mean, you got the desert, you got the pines, you've got everything except an ocean. But I mean, I think we need incentives. Tell you the truth, more. Yeah.
You currently are living in Prescott.
Yeah.
How would Prescott fare if a movie production came in?
That's the thing. I think, honestly, me personally, I think Prescott Valley, Prescott could be like the Austin, Texas of Arizona. In my opinion, it's beautiful. It's just visually more just appealing. In my opinion, I like it better. The weather is more bearable throughout the year. I mean, it almost feels like California weather, just maybe a little hotter now. Today was a little hotter, but not even as bad. But I just like the weather there. It's open. It's kind of funny because some parts, there's abandoned malls and stuff over there that I drive past and I'm like, this would be perfect for a studio there.
Sure.
Literally, you could just get this whole thing and just turn it into a studio, a makeshift studio.
No
And
trains?
it'll work. Huh?
No trains? for sound,
I mean, I don't know. I've never really paid attention to the trains.
or
actually, to tell you the
a
truth.
flight path for sound. You know, like
Yeah.
it's probably pretty quiet.
It's quiet.
You know?
It's I mean, the air's cleaner. I mean, it's just me. I would like to see Prescott become just like, because Dallas, you have Dallas, and then you have Austin. Mm-hmm. They still work together hand
How
in hand.
far away is Dallas and Austin?
They're further apart than it is from here to Prescott.
Oh, it is.
So yeah, I think here to Prescott's like hour 45 to 2 hours. I would make the drive from Dallas to Austin in about 2:45 to 3.
Okay.
Depending if there was traffic, even longer.
Could the people who live in and around Prescott Valley take and be cool with, you know, the Carnies production people coming into town? Would they accept it, or would they reject it, or somewhere in the middle?
I honestly think it could work. I mean, I think it could work big time if they. It doesn't. I mean, because sometimes Phoenix needs the landscape of what the North offers. Mm-hmm. So, and then vice versa, the North. So, I mean, I think they would get along all right, because Dallas and Austin get along all right. I mean, there's still stuff underneath their breath. They'll be like, oh, people in Austin, oh, well, whatever.
Sure. Well, there's always going to be that
hoity-toity Dallas people, you know. So, but like you might get the same thing over here, all those Prescott hippies or whatever.
Sure. Yeah,
or all those desert rats.
They have an art college up there, right?
They
with the film program, don't they?
I think they do. I think they might. I think they do.
Zachy Gordon, something.
They do have some kind of.
Oh, is that?
That's
okay.
Sedona, which has its own little special community going on of creatives.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just. Oh, and you're talking about not having an ocean. Mm-hmm. We are like from Phoenix, 3.5 hours away from Rocky Point.
Yeah.
And I know that certain powers that be in the film community here and film commission are trying to make relationships with Mexico, so that we could cross the border safely, even to the point of having escorts to the ocean.
Nice.
So if that's the case, then the ocean, along with all the different climates in Arizona, would give Arizona pretty much every look anybody would be looking for.
Yeah.
You know.
This state's so incredible. It really is. And there's a reason why I wanted to come back. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know. When I came back, I didn't realize Arizona had all the pines it had. You know, I mean, when I was here as a kid, all I just remember just playing my dirt pile in the hood, in the desert.
Sure.
And then, like, now that I'm a grown up and I was actually able to just drive around, that's the reason why I moved to Prescott, because I actually took 2 years to figure out where I wanted to live. Because, to tell you the truth, the commute's not even bad, because I was driving like that in Texas all the time. Like, it just took me 30 minutes just to get to work and back, or 30 minutes just to get there and back. So, Texas is so big.
Yeah, and that's a good question right there. So Texas is so big. Would you get calls for a job that would be like 3+ hours away?
Yeah,
normally,
all the time. Like
really?
I was always. So I lived in Dallas, so there would be a lot of times where I would either have to make runs to either drop off equipment or work a job in either Austin. Even further away, Houston was like 5 hours.
Wow.
I've been to Port Aransas, which is even. I mean, it's far, and then I've been all the way to Marfa, Texas, which is, I want to say like 8 hours, 7 or 8 hours, something like that. In a grip truck, even more, especially a grip truck won't even go 20 miles an hour up a hill.
Yeah.
So you've been there.
Oh yeah.
Sure. And then, but we were so close to Louisiana, I would go to Louisiana. I did Duck Dynasty stuff over there when that was going on, and political stuff, and then we would go to Oklahoma all the time and shoot country stuff and whatever, just anything in Oklahoma.
Were they good about like putting you up and making sure?
Oh yeah, my MPS, the company I used to work for, they were legit. They would put me in hotels. They'd always take care of me. Fill out. I mean, I had a gas card, so I was driving the grip trucks. Nothing ever out of pocket. So yeah, I mean, then they had all their ducks in a row, and that's why I like people going into things with a plan, organization, and that's what they had, and that's kind of how I like to work. But
Never go out of pocket.
right,
That's another thing.
that's
for
another thing.
newbies
Don't ever
coming
go
in.
out of pocket in this business with your own money.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like that they expect to get a PA for like some low rate,
Yeah.
maybe even like below minimum wage, and then expect them to be out of pocket for things. When
Hey,
it's
can you
just some
pick up
function.
$250 worth of crafty before we start?
Yeah, fruit
Right.
snacks.
Yeah.
Which I've been on one of those too. My very first show was I was literally getting paid. When we calculated, my mother, she was like, "So what are you getting paid?" So I told her, and then she calculated the hours. She's like, "You realize you're getting paid like $2.50?
Oh no.
That's less than minimum wage." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But I was young then. I
For
just
the
didn't-
glory.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So
Quit my job in showbiz?
right.
Yeah,
right. Right.
What
So I was
Matt, what do you think that we could be doing here to really show people what Arizona has to offer? Anything or projects that have come in that really showcase, or people that have been coming in? Any thoughts and
Yeah, I mean, I think like legislatively, that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's got to trickle down from the
yeah,
government.
we've known that for a long time. We saw half of the people we worked with leave
To Louisiana.
once the once the tax incentive
Yeah.
went. I mean, we have so much to offer here, and I think it's kind of like a hidden gem because I think the rest of the country and world doesn't necessarily see how much we have to offer.
Yeah.
It kind of breaks my heart a little bit that Phoenix and Arizona doesn't export more things to the rest of the world. I feel like we feel a little isolated, at least to me.
Yeah.
So I think we've got good crews. I don't think we're terribly deep. Like once spring training comes and we get crazy busy, it's like we run out of people to call.
Yeah.
And if we got a lot bigger, it would give a lot more opportunities to train new people and figure out new things.
Yeah. Spring training is a huge blessing for us here.
Yeah.
That brings in a lot of work, which is really nice.
I worked last week, which, we haven't been working much because the world's crazy right now. And most of the crew is from LA, and they were really impressed with the crew that we had here and what the locations we were able to find. And
What kind of a project was it?
it was a commercial,
Okay.
a tech company, and they were like, the production designer from LA was saying like, we're still not able to shoot in LA. I'm gonna tell my friends and see if we can bring it to Phoenix because we can get a lot of the same looks for advertising that we get there.
Yeah. Amen to that.
I mean, if that happens, that would be great. I mean, we all want to work. We want to make a living. I always dream about something, like obviously we're blue collar technicians, like we're below the line. I dream of like a director, like Robert Rodriguez type person to come out of Phoenix and kind of call Phoenix home and put us, quote unquote, on the map as like, oh, the scene that's coming through here.
Yeah. Well, I think that the thing that we need is we need to have compelling narrative stories being produced, made, and released out of Phoenix,
Yeah.
and people seeing it, becoming fans, and then finding out that it was made here, being surprised, and then wanting more.
Yeah.
Because again, it's any kind of movie, any kind of narrative project is a business. So the investors, the producers, the executive producers need to see a return for their money.
Yep.
And so I think that if we all got just a little bit more business oriented in our approach, I think that would help all of us.
Yeah.
It'll also protect ourselves from being taken advantage of.
Right.
Because that will always happen. People will always try to swoop in and make us, or try to get us to pay out of pocket, and to bring lower rates. And we are a right to work state. We do have a union, and so it's not poo-pooing IATSE, but it isn't as strong here as say LA or New York or Louisiana, Georgia, or whatever. But I feel like something that's a plus here is that we do have a bit of a family kind of attitude, and I think that if we stepped it up and looked out for each other a little bit more, I think that would go a long way. Because I'm tired of waiting for other people to do it for us.
Right,
You know, but like you said, it needs to trickle down from the government, from the legislative, decisions that they make for the tax incentive. Of course, that would help. But until then, I mean, we shouldn't just be sitting around. We should be productive, and we all have the production disease. So we're all busy, wanting to be busy all the time. So I guess that is what I beg to ask. And I'm not saying you guys have the answer or I have the answer, but maybe someone listening right now just gets a little, window into like where we're coming from, what our train of thought is, and maybe might have some good ideas and might be able to contribute and be our, like you said, our Robert Rodriguez of Phoenix,
Right.
Which would be really great. It really would put us on the map.
Well, and really within like the crew members here in Phoenix, like we're on the same team. Like the money's coming from out of town to create their product here. Like if we can continue to make Phoenix and the crews and the product that we make here look good, and people notice that from other cities, they'll want to come and do business here, I think.
Yeah. Well, it seems like a lot of small techie corporations are moving here. I've worked on a bunch of small little B-roll interview type of jobs. It's not Transformers, but at the end of the day, I feel good about what we did, and it was safe, and the client was happy.
Made some good images. Hopefully told a good story.
DP can put a couple of those images on their reel.
Yeah.
Whether it was meant to be shot or not
Right.
for the project. So yeah, I mean, and I feel like that's what this podcast is all about. Is just trying to be a small piece of a bigger puzzle of how we can get more work for all of us here in Arizona and showcase Arizona. Show that it's a home that we love, which could be our new tagline.
It's definitely got a lot of potential.
I think
That's for
so.
sure.
I think so.
All the landscapes, everything, man. Just
We
they'll
travel.
come in for the
We travel
landscapes.
around a lot. It's a location state. And that being said, location versus studio shoots. Do you guys have a preference?
I mean, I like the control of studio,
Okay.
but I also I've been to some amazing places. Like I've went to some places here that I've never seen before, like Watson Lake. I never saw that. And
Watson?
Watson Lake.
Where's that?
In Prescott.
Oh, okay.
But it's really cool. It's just a nice little niche place that I went there when it was real cold, and now I go there almost every other day. But I liked it a lot, and I would have never known that place was there if it weren't for one of the shoots I was on.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've been to a lot of places here in Arizona the short time I've been here already that I've discovered just because of these shoots that I never been to before, and I end up finding myself go back just randomly, just on my own time. So the state is so beautiful, and that's the thing, it's captivating. It's got such visual appeal here that I'm actually surprised that it's not like New Mexico is, because this is, in my opinion, Arizona's just more beautiful than New Mexico.
Yeah.
I think we can get to New Mexico status, but we need the incentives.
Yeah.
We need the backing.
It's kind of funny. We get to go to so many amazing places that it makes it kind of hard for like everyday life. Like when you've been on the 50-yard line at the Super Bowl,
Right.
like I would never pay for a ticket now. Like,
Yeah.
how do you top that? Like,
We've been ruined.
yeah,
I'm sitting there listening to Chuck Norris tell Chuck Norris jokes.
yeah. Like
right by his side. I'm like, all right, I made it.
I had to pay for this ticket
Right.
to this concert. Like I want to be backstage.
Well, Matt, it's been almost a year since we were at Road and Crater,
Yes.
and that was an amazing experience with Kanye
Yeah.
in Sunday service.
We spent a week or so in a volcano with Kanye West
Seen the
and a
pictures.
choir.
Like,
Who does? It's still one of the weirdest shoots I've ever been on, but an amazing.
Mark was
experience.
with you, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Troy
he
was
showed me
there,
the pictures.
Lee, yeah,
It's
amazing.
interesting.
Oh gosh, it is amazing because like it's not open to the public yet. Who knows when it will be? And to go there, you have to like give a donation, and it's like what was it? Did they say like $5,000 to go there?
Yeah, something like
you have
that.
like a donation.
Like sizable for me.
Oh, well,
At
for
that
sure.
point, you just save it a fee,
Yeah.
not donation, if they have a specific number.
But that was a really, really great shoot, and
And I still haven't seen the film because I don't want to ruin the memory. Like, I don't want to be disappointed.
I haven't seen it
One of
either.
those.
I guess Mark's in it. I gotta check it out. He's in the BTS or something. But yeah, and that's right on the cusp of the Painted Desert, which I am just fascinated with. Have you seen that, Dave? You've been out in Painted
I
Desert?
haven't been there yet. I've been close to it on my way to New Mexico. I wanted to stop, and I didn't.
Gotta go. That,
Wanna
and
go.
then Tuba City takes you out towards Monument Valley, Kayenta, and
Monument Valley is like amazing.
Oh, I love
wanna
it.
see that.
I love Monument Valley, and I feel like us Arizona's crews get a little screwed with that location sometimes because it's so close. It's right on the border of Utah, and Utah I think does have a film tax incentive.
Yeah.
And like they shot The Lone Ranger out there, and I think that we only had like 2 Teamsters from here on that movie, just driving vans, and everybody else was from Utah, probably LA.
And then Westworld shot right on the border too, but they were on the Utah side,
Were they? Right.
from what I hear. Yeah.
Right. So I just saw another movie that had Monument Valley in the background. Oh, it was Man in the High Castle. But they could have green screened that or
Yeah.
something, who knows. But yeah, that's such an iconic place. I've heard a location scout there say that there are shoots there. Literally could be a shoot there every single day of the year. Like people coming in from all over the world.
And stills, yeah, oh, totally.
Oh, yeah. Just amazing. But also, actually, you guys talking about we don't have a ocean here. We do have Lake Powell.
Yeah.
And
Havasu.
And Lake Havasu. And a London Bridge.
Yeah, right.
Not the London Bridge,
Right.
but a London Bridge.
Wait, it's not the...
It's not the famous London Bridge, which is actually it's famous because people's body parts were strung from it, like Braveheart,
Yeah.
William Wallace.
Uh-huh.
I guess in the end they say that whenever he was, tortured and killed, they hung his pieces from the London Bridge. We didn't get that one.
Oh,
We got another bridge in London. So
Oh.
I think I read that.
I'm
actually, just the other day, actually.
hey, we can still tell people from out of town. We can just say it quick. We have the London Bridge.
We have a
Right.
London Bridge.
We have a London Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It doesn't sound as cool as the London Bridge. So whatever. But yeah, I agree. We have a lot to offer, and I hope that people take notice. So that being said, any other projects coming up that you guys, whether it is your own personal projects on the side, or talks of anything, any narratives, commercials, anything coming up?
I've gotten a few feeler
Cool.
emails and texts, but
Good.
People seem to be a little bit weary of setting down dates yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think people want to shoot.
They do want to shoot.
Yeah.
And it is hot, and that is always a deterrent.
I had something lined up in April, but that went away. It was supposed to be all through April, like a couple days here and there, but all strung out, and then that got pushed to who knows when. So, but they sent me emails saying they're still looking or whatever.
Cool.
I got a call yesterday for a potential call, but I never got anything. So it's like, but like I said, I'm reverting back to my side stuff that I do anyways. Like I'm building like a workbench for somebody, stuff that standard grips actually can do.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we kind of live and die by our phone, unfortunately.
Yeah,
keeping
exactly.
an eye on it, for the upcoming work, which is, I guess, good and bad. It for me, it creates almost like a complex, I didn't.
Codependent relationship.
Yeah,
with
it
your
really
phone.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't checked my phone in 5 minutes. Did I get a call?
Right.
Or did I get an email or something?
Like, oh, I didn't know. 45 minutes in this text. Did I lose it already?
Yeah. And people will do that. They'll call you, are you available? And you can
Yep.
call back 5 minutes later, and they're, oh, it already got booked.
Yeah.
I got my text message yesterday say, hey, are you available for the 3rd and 4th or something? And I was like, I didn't see it because I was out in the sticks doing a garage floor, and then when I looked at the text message, it said it was like 45 minutes. Like, I was like, damn it. It's like just because I didn't see it, and so then I responded. I was like, oh, I'm available with the exclamation points, and then I didn't get anything for a while. And then it's like, oh, I passed your name along to production. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. But I didn't hear anything.
I'm still learning that, you know, I've been in the business for 13 years or so, that there's been times where it's been slow, but it hasn't completely gone away. And I think that fear that, like, you'll never work in this town again, like, hasn't happened yet. So.
No, totally. Well, you know, and in this day and age with the internet and technology, businesses have to have that line item of advertising, of promotion, of website content, or else they're not going to be competitive and their business isn't going to succeed.
Yeah.
So they have to have that, and it has to be fresh. We were just talking to somebody about making some content, you know, just toying around with the idea, and they really wanted content that would cater towards millennials and Gen Xers. And what we were kind of sort of discussing before that might have been a little too before their time or something, which is, you know, whatever. But but all that to be said, you know, these businesses want something current, and they don't want something old.
Yeah.
And that means work. So that's okay with me. I
Right,
guess.
yeah.
That's fine with me. You know. So, well, guys, I appreciate you coming down and talking grip and electric with us and production in Arizona. And thanks everybody for listening. This is Hot Set at Pirate Creative Compound, brought you by Jam Audio and decorated by Pirate Booty Props. And we'll see you on the next show. Thanks
And
a
call
lot.
sheets matter.
Call sheets matter. Thank you, Matt. They do.